to have you with us. It's time to stand up to the outrage junkies. Time to battle brittle brains atop balsa wood spines while fighting the thin-skinned nanny staters at every turn. It's Brian. I'm in, and very glad you joined us for today's ride. So what do you say? Let's get ready to mortal up. And we are going to mortal up for episode 473, believe it or not, of the Brian Brawdy Show. You may have come to know it as the cognitive bodyguard. I like that. You and I can be cognitive bodyguards together. We can be a tag team. Something else we can do together, the Human Mind's Mandalorian. Boy, I like that one as well. Look, we're welcome. Let's just do, right, like partners riding along. Let's just do it. Let's just do it together. Hi, it's Brian Brawdy, welcoming you again. Happy. Man, it's kind of early, I've got to tell you, in the morning. Thank you so very much for joining us now at our new time, 6 a.m. Eastern. But in any event, there's so many things going on. I want to hop right into it. Yes, we're still worried about breaking the internet. So yes, for this week, we'll be doing a 20-minute victory, right, as one would. But there's so many things to get you about. But first off, I have to tell you about a little something I was involved in yesterday, and see if you've ever come across anything like this. And then we'll get to the main part of what I'd like this episode to be about. So, you run around. If you've checked us out over at mortalup.com, there's Facebook and there's Twitter and there's YouTube. There's all these different places. Instagram that we can interact. Well, one of them was a guy over in I won't even tell you where. It's a group that I got invited to or dropped into, however that works. So I said, this sounds like a pretty cool group. I'll do it. And some guy gets on and starts railing against these watered-down Buddhists. They're really not Buddhists. They're little Buddhists or blah, 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 blah. He's been studying the philosophy forever, blah, 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 blah. And he doesn't appreciate all these posers coming in. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. You don't like watered-down Buddhists. You don't like everyone that's studied, but yet you've been studying an art that should have left you outside of that outrage. You've been studying Buddhism, would have left you, you'd think, with the peace of mind enough not to get triggered. But here's Mr. I want to wear my Buddhism on my shirt, right? I want everyone to see, I'm a tough guy. So in any event, I want to talk a little bit today about watered-down human beings and why I'm not really all that much of a fan. So for this morning show, look at me, I can't even stop saying evening. For this morning show, boy, old habits die hard, huh? For this morning show, I'd like to cover just this topic. Fear, what is it? It's the byproduct of forgetting who you truly are and why that's important with all the craziness going on in the world this morning. As it's Monday morning, we're starting to kick off our week. I thought, okay, let's just do this. Let's get our mind set. Let's get ready to go for what's going to be, admittedly, if you listen to all the brainiacs in the media, well, it's going to be a tough week. So if you want to buy into that, right, then let's just prepare for that. So here's what I'd like to talk about today, because I've grown a little like my Dr. Buddhist friend who's upset about watering down Buddhism. To a certain degree, I get it, because there's a lot of people trying to water down human wherewithal, right? I complain about that all the time, trying to water down your very best. And of course, by now, if you've been following along, I call them brittle brains atop balsa wood spines. And I think I've just had it, right? When we talk about blood, the brains that make your blood boil, well, I've had it with people giving humanity, or given at least human beings, a bad name. You know who I'm talking about, Chicken Littles, the sky is falling. The little post yesterday that said it's spelled ferocious, not fear-ocious, right? It's ferocious, the human temperament, what you and I can channel, what we can call upon, the marrow of our minds, our buried logic, our grit, human grit, what we can call upon whenever we're confronted by a situation. So what I thought we could talk about this morning is that it came up yesterday, and I was talking to a couple of different people about it, and I thought, this might be a pretty cool topic just to launch our week. And then tomorrow morning, we'll get back to everything that we want to do. But to launch our week this week, I thought, here's what we could do. Now, just hear me out on this, all right? So suppose there's a situation where you get ready, you're dialing 911, This is what you get. Nothing. Dial 911, you get nothing. Black space. Busy signal at the very least. That's what happens. So in that situation, could you handle, we talked about it a little bit last week, but could you handle, right, the 6 Fs? So if you think about it, do you have the ability to cover your food, to cover your fresh water, to cover your fuel, to cover first aid? If someone in your family needed first aid, would you know what to do? Would you know the Heimlich maneuver? Would you know all that? If you had a fire, you go to dial 911, what do you get? Nothing but the busy signal. Right? Would you know what to do if you wasn't a paramedic coming? And the next F, a 5, the fire extinguisher. What if there's a fire in the house? You can't call the fire department, or you try dialing 911 and it's busy. What could you do? And then, of course, for security, you're getting ready to call the police. All the stories like the police are busy somewhere. I mean, right, they're busy arresting people on the golf course. They're busy arresting people for paddle boarding out in the ocean. They're right. And then they're doing some good stuff as well. But, they're kind of distracted. They've got a lot of different things going on. So if you go to dial 911 and you get a busy tone, would you know what to do? And I thought this would be the perfect time, right? Instead of listening to your celebrities and singing and having them do cat impersonations or whatever else is clogging up the internet, right? What if we said, no, I think I will study what it would take to get the right kind of food that I'm going to need. I think I would study how to get water, fresh water if I needed it. I think I'd study what I'd need to be able to get fuel if I needed it. I certainly want to study first aid, right? So that if I got to the point where I'm thinking, oh, wow, my family member needs CPR, my family member's choking, my neighbor's kid cut himself really bad, I need to be able to stop the bleeding. You could study, right? You could study first aid so that no matter what, you're on top of it. So heaven forbid, suppose there's a fire. Now, for me, where we are, I have a fire extinguisher in different places on each floor, just about every 3 rooms. But to each of those, one of the things you could do in a little bit of downtime now is make sure, do your kids know where the fire extinguisher? Does your wife or your husband know? Does your significant other know where the fire extinguishers are? So it's almost like just out of memory. You don't have to go, where's the fire extinguisher? Oh, you know exactly where it is. And then, of course, in terms of security, you've got your deadbolt, you've got your this or that. But suppose if 911 goes down, the phone systems go down, you don't have an alarm, let's just say, you can't, right? So you can't rely on electric locks. So you have to rely on deadbolts, and to protect your family, you need a firearm. So those 6 Fs, those are things that we could be studying this week to learn, are we truly on top of it, right? Are we truly the one? I ask all the time, when you can't call anyone else, can you call on yourself? And if you follow us at all, yesterday, Sunday morning, we have the Sunday Morning All Natural Being, where we get together and, we talk about pretty cool stuff. Yesterday was a little different, still cool to me, but a little different because, look, here's what we're going to be looking for. What is his name? Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban came out and said, there's going to be an America 2.0. And my question to you, as you prepare for this, all the people are busy screaming and hollering and never this one, never that one. But what if you use all of your energy to be so angry, to be so full of anxiety, to be so full of everything? You've got no energy left to be able to marshal your forces, to be able to get your immune system to rise to the occasion and actually be able to defend yourself from pathogens. We talked about, there's obviously biological pathogens, but there's also philosophical pathogens. And fear is one of those. And we get that fear, as I said before, it's the byproduct of forgetting who you ultimately are. Because the real you knows that you're going to be the leader. And here's another comment that we got about yesterday's show that I thought that I would bring for us into this week. Again, just to prepare us for whatever fate may throw in this week ahead. In order to be the leader that everyone's going to be looking for. People are busy looking at politicians. They're looking at presidents. They're looking at governors. They're looking at mayors and housing association presidents and all these other things. I've said all the time that big government doesn't live in Washington, D.C. Big government doesn't live in state capitals. It lives in little minds. but that's the topic for another, a whole library full of shows. But for this particular show, if you can't call on all those leaders, can you be a leader? Do you have the ability, guy or girl, doesn't matter, do you have the ability to tell your family, get behind my back, right? To front your shoulders with whatever fate dictates, to front your shoulders and tell your family, get behind my back. I've got you, right? You just get behind me and don't worry about it. Everything's going to be set. Are you going to be able to rise to the occasion? Are you going to be that hero that everyone's looking for, that everyone's going to be counting on? Well, you and I know it's in your makeup to do. It's in your makeup to be your own cognitive bodyguard, as we talk about all the time. It's in your makeup to be your own Mandalorian. It's in your makeup to be that person that your family and friends can turn to and go, look, I'll square my shoulders. You get behind my back. Everything's going to be great. So how could we do this? And we've got some downtime in this and that, right? How can we do it? We can study those 6 F's that I talked about. What could we do so that when you go to dial 911, what's going to happen? Dial 911, and as again, you get the busy signal. What are you going to do? No one's coming for you. You have to be able to figure this out on your own. And the great news in all of it is that you're absolutely capable of it. You are absolutely the leader, male or female. You are absolutely the one that people can rally behind and know that you've confronted the threat, whatever that threat is. So, as I tried to say yesterday morning, instead of being focused, clearly focused on all the angst, we did a post the other day where we said, balm first. Heal yourself first. Make sure you're protected first. Blame later. Balm first, blame later. Right? And look, I don't care who we blame, but this is the time where I would like us to be a little more narcissistic. This is the time that I would love for us to be a little more selfish. And going, look, what do I got to do to make sure that I'm up for the leadership role that could be hoisted upon me? And if you're listening to this, you're absolutely up for it once you remember who you are. We talk all the time about mortal up because it's in you to do this. Husband or wife, guy or girl, boyfriend or girlfriend, whoever you are listening, you have the ability to be that leader that we're all going to be looking for when you remember who you are. Now, another thing that I wanted to make mention of, because we had gotten another call about it yesterday, was that I've been doing a lot of studying, about the meditation and the breathing and everything else. But one of the benefits of breathing through your nose, I put up that your nose knows, right? One of the benefits of breathing in through your nose, other than calming down the cholesterol, the cortisol, all the stress hormones in your body, what you may not know is just like in the cold, when it's 50 below zero in Yellowstone and you breathe in through your mouth, it's absolutely cold on your throat as soon as it happens. That same temperature, when you breathe in through your nose and you have the mucous membranes and the little hairs inside, the cilia inside, it warms that up before it gets to your lungs. It warms that air up before it gets to your lungs. So I've started doing some research about it because I've always been a huge fan, just like polar bears. Why do polar bears have such a huge snout? They got to breathe in all that cold air, right? So I thought to myself, well, wait a minute, if that could work, why couldn't it be? What is it about this virus, any virus? And the more research we've done over the years, the more we've come to realize that your sinuses hold nitric oxide, which is a great antioxidant. Nitrous oxide is like, I'll smack the living daylights out of that pathogen. Just bring it on in. So now am I saying that inhaling through your nose will guarantee you don't catch coronavirus? No, absolutely not. What I am saying is that you dramatically increase your chances of both preparing your body to do battle and going, wait a minute, if this is like an early warning signal, my nose, my nasal passages along with the mucus and the cilia and the nitrogen oxide, you mean it's like a bug light for viruses? Yes, that's exactly what I mean. It's like it's drawn in and then they just rough them up. Why wouldn't you give yourself every benefit you possibly could? And that was a little bit of our conversation about why you should do the breathing through your nose. Got a lot of mouth breathers out there running around, right? People breathe like this all the time. But that breath goes right into your lungs. There's nothing there. There's no speed bumps. There's no labyrinth of mucus and sinus and there's no labyrinth for the pathogen to move through. So yes, they might very well come out and say, hey, everyone needs to wear a mask. Even if you're wearing a mask, breathe through your nose. It only can increase your chances of being able to smack around coronavirus and at the very least not be a target for it. But now, in addition to being narcissistic, could you be that leader? Absolutely. Could you be that Mandalorian? Absolutely. Now, here's one of the cool things that I also know. If you don't know it now, great. Let's use the internet while it's still up, right? You listen to some experts. Internet while it's still up to teach ourselves these things so that every day we can get a little better at it. Can I be honest with you? Even though I have all the wilderness paramedic or the wilderness emergency responder training and all of that, you know what I do? I put a lot of those little things on my iPad, put a lot of those little books. Here's how you do this. Here's how you do that. Because even though if the internet goes down, as long as I can plug this into one of the batteries that runs off the solar panels, as long as I can plug this in, then I got this is like a huge encyclopedia. This thing's huge. It's got every book you could possibly imagine. So if you can arm wrestle it away from the kids, right? If you can arm wrestle it away from your husband or your wife, and then you go, hey, can I use that for a couple minutes? Sure. What are you going to use? Well, I want to download first aid manuals, first aid books. I want to download books about growing your own garden. I want to download books about this and that. So that even if the internet does go out and you can't go over to Bing or whatever it's called, Google or whatever the like, because the internet's down, it's already downloaded on your iPad, on your reader, so you can use it as a reference point. And I love that because even if you study it, there's stuff you simply forget. So how about we spend some time this week going over those things that we listed, those 6 F's, and go, great, let me download information onto the iPad so that I have it. You can also download it right to your phone. So that, right, it'll come right to the phone so that you know in any situation, you've got like an encyclopedia of knowledge to fall back on, at least in some of those situations. And then is always to remember that once you mortal up, you're a good bit more formidable a foe for anything that's going to attack you. Once you mortal up and you get your wits about you and you draw in that big, deep breath, what that breath does, in addition to oxygenating your blood, right, so that you're getting really great fuel in, you're getting blood full of oxygen moving around your body. In addition to all that, it also says to the fight or flight or freeze chemicals, hey, wait a minute, she just took in a really great, deep, purposeful, through her nose breath. How bad could it really be? And then that way, instead of the chemicals hijacking you, you're hijacking your chemicals. You're using them. They're not using you. And I think that would be a great thing that we could start to practice on, right? So that, heaven forbid, when that emergency situation comes up, we're already trained. We know what to do. And instead of having that amnesia, because we've forgotten who we are, that's why I say all the time, you hear me saying, no more amnesia. Remember who you ultimately are. Do I believe that you have the ability to rise to any challenge? Absolutely. Do I believe you may want to, just like wiping off your eyes in the morning, you're a little groggy when you first get up? Do I think you need to lose some of that amnesia to bring your all-natural being front and center and mortal up? Yeah, you might very well. But I know it's within you to bring your own bold. And some of the things that we've gone over today might be the way that we could set out to do that, you and me. So when everyone else is busy blaming everyone else, when everyone else is busy pointing fingers, remember, balm, there'll be plenty of time to blame. Balm and then blame. And then focus on losing that amnesia, those things that will compel you to forget who you ultimately are, so that you can bring all of your attention, all of the very best, as I said just a moment ago, to bring your own bold and to bring your counterpunch, knowing that whoever is around you, they can get behind your back, you'll front the whatever that is that they're afraid of, you'll get in front of it, and you'll block them from whatever else is going down. I know it's absolutely in you. You know it's absolutely in you. If we don't buy into all the hysteria, if we don't buy in to everyone trying to water down human wherewithal, if we don't buy into everybody giving a human beings a bad rap. That's why I say all the time, this whole thing about battling balsa wood, brittle brains atop balsa wood spines. Stop giving humanity a bad name. If you're scared, stay at home. If you're, stay out of everyone else's way. Stop giving human beings a bad name. All right, we're going to go ahead and get ready to get out of here. Thank you so very much for joining us this morning. We're probably going to do 20-minute victories. Oh, look at that. That was perfect timing. We're probably going to do 20-minute victories throughout the rest of the this week. In the mornings, we'll be live, 6 a.m., and then starting next week, we'll probably be going to an hour in the morning from 6 to 7 Eastern. We're going to work some of that out, but you'll know that we'll be here and ready to kind of help prime your mind, to jumpstart your day, to be your snooze alarm's sworn enemy, if you will, to spark your smart, and just every single day to remind you to bring your own bold, to look up, to stand up, to bring your own bold, and to mortal up. All right, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you again for absolutely everything. And I'll look forward to seeing you, being back with you again tomorrow morning. Don't forget, head on over to mortalup.com if you want to send us an email or you want to nominate your low-life making headlines. We didn't get that today, but we will. You want to nominate your Mortal Up, that human being that just brings their own bold, right? You just know they've fronted a Herculean effort and they came out on top. We'll have that. But just also to be able to contact us and see everything else that we're doing, head on over to mortalup.com. And we'll hook up there. All right, until tomorrow morning, have an absolutely fantastic day. It's time to tune out the herd, because everything you've ever needed, you've always had. So bring your own bold, and let's go mortal up.